What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Wrenching Wrecked. We're on location at Shop 2. And the SX175. Finally pulled it off the back corner wall and got it up on the lift here. Stamped right there. All of my answers right on the side. So SX175, that's what we're going with. When I did a little researching, the carbs are different on the 175 and the 250, I believe. This one runs that square stock slide. We're gonna start jamming on this. Somebody in the comments mentioned this head was broken or not on correctly. And we added fuel, we added, cleaned up the carb, added fuel, started kicking. It's still getting a nice spark, but it is not trying to fire or pop or light or do anything. I'm going to be pulling the head off now, just to kind of reclock and orient that the correct way, and then I can get a quick look at the cylinder. But I mean, compression wise, it seems like it's okay. Once we get the head off, it is a 2-stroke, so I don't have any valves to worry about. But once the head comes off, we can take a look at the top of the piston, see what that kind of looks like. And then I want to double check the timing on this, but thank you to whoever it was in the comments that mentioned this head should be clocked. I think you are correct, because fin-wise, it doesn't really make sense going this way for cooling. So that's kind of where we're gonna start. I'm gonna have to pull this pipe off. We'll start with the head and see how far I can get. I got the fuel line disconnected from the carb, and the carb's just dangling down here right now, so should be pretty quick. I'll throw you guys up on the tripod and pop this thing off, and let's see what we find. Never know. Hopefully nothing exciting, but you never really know what you're gonna get. I did pop these free already. I didn't take them all the way out, but I popped the bolts loose already, so it's just the 4 bolts. Now, I believe, since this is an Italian build, everything is metric. So 13 mil. Oh. Lost 1 bolt down there in the cylinder head, but that's fine. We'll grab that in a second. No idea what the internal parts of this motor look like in terms of layout. I'm pretty familiar with 2-stroke stuff, but everything's different. Can't see this being any issue running the head sideways other than not being ideal for cooling. You never know. Let's pop the tank off too. I think she's on there pretty tight with that petcock on the other side, so. How does this come off? I don't know why that was so stuck. All right, that gives us a little more room to work. Pull this up, coils on. Wires are good there, so. There we have it. Oh, there were washers on there too. Soaked. So the issue I was having before was spark plug is firing, but it is very wet every time I pull it out. So wondering if there's too much mix going in there. Actually, this doesn't look too bad, other than the huge presence of oil in here. Cylinders don't look bad at all. A little shiny. A little bit of wear over here. Let me grab a rag, we'll wipe that down. See what we're actually working with here. I don't see any major scoring or anything, so that's good. Wasn't sure what kind of gasket was on here. I was hoping it was just going to be a little copper ring like this, which is nice. Don't need new parts for that. That we should be able to reuse. But get this thing all cleaned up. Okay. You guys see anything in there? And now that we got the head off, I can pull the timing cover and verify all that with a nice, easy visual inspection here. But to me, it seemed like it should have had enough compression to light off. I didn't put a gauge on it. I didn't compression test it, I know. But finger test and messing around with enough motors, you kind of know what you need. And this seemed like it should have fired. Okay, so there we have that. Now, let's go over to the ignition side. Can I get to all of this without taking everything apart? What do we got? Flathead and some pinch bolts up front. Again, thinking metric in my head, so kind of guesstimating on sizes here. We got 10 mil, I think. If there's metric things, it's always a 10 mil, isn't it? So pop the shifter off. I don't know if this needs to come all the way or not, but we'll just take that whole pinch bolt out. Come on. And a flathead. Of course, it's gonna fight me. Halfway. There we go. So we got a shifter off now. Pop off the rest of these covers. And this should unveil the sprocket for the front as well as the ignition, I think is in the front, right here. Clutch cable goes in on the other side, so typically in my experience it's usually where the clutch is, not the ignition or alternator or whatever this uses. It should have a electronic ignition in here, just based on the wires, and there's a CDI box on the other side. But we've had no issues with spark. I just don't know when it's happening. And for this being laid out the way it was and not doing, not even a pop-pop, not even a stutter, something's got to be wrong, and I don't think it's just because it's flooding out, because even the plug, when I pull the plug out, it's all very wet, but it's still sparking. So here we go, ignition. We got a timing mark over here, here, and here. And if I remember correctly, when that crosses, here's the pickup for the firing. What is this for? Neutral safety? So if we rotate this around, there's TDC, that's after, so should spin. Oh wait, no, it spins this way. Thank you, timing marks. So here's our arrow, here's our other one. There's a mark on the case right here. I believe once this mark lines up with this mark, that's where you want to lock it down. So that's right there. Those two are lined up, and then this should, your points firing is going to be, or your pickup is these two screws here. So this is fixed to the crank. This is mobile, so you can move this, advance or retard, but it should line up right there on those lines, just like it is. So that should be okay. I got two wires out of here, one wire for the pickup. I don't know what this one is. I'm assuming that's got to be like a neutral safety of some sort, but I think this should run. I don't understand. Let me get on the interwebs and double check on the timing mark for this, but I mean, that looks good. Timing is set 1 point, or what is it, 2? I don't remember. what the spec was. Let me throw a plug in that and see what happens here. Key's on, so every time that pickup moves past those marks, should send a spark. Somebody's here. I heard some tunes. Yeah, so we are getting spark. You just got to spin it fast enough. Okay. Well, I'm going to clean this up, try and see if I can find a fresh plug to put in, redo the fuel line, and then see if we can get this hooked up and going. So, don't have internet up here, so we're on the cell phone, but managed to find a parts diagram. Now, for this, they basically show those same timing marks that I was looking at here. The arrow, which is right here, needs to line up with the pickup pointer, which we have set correct, and then this line over here needs to line up over here. So right now we are a tad bit off. There's two timing lines here. I don't know which one is fire. So as long as I'm in between those, it should be okay. Let's see. So you want it 2.5 millimeters before top dead center. If we look up top on the piston, it's about where we're at. So we're just before TDC there. There's top dead center. 2.5 mil before, roughly. You can do that with a caliper too if you really wanted to, but I'm not worried about it. Everything on here is set proper. So this lines up to the timing line, arrow lines up over here. We should be in pretty good shape. So we should be good. Now we just got to figure out what else is wrong with this thing. I think we're just going to kick it over a couple times, kind of clear out that cylinder from all the oil, put the head back on and see what happens again. Cleaning up the head here. Just a little bit, I'm not going crazy. Looks like it might have been polished at some point to get a little bit of carbon here, and then it looks like there might have been a decompression valve at one point, which is this bolt here, but that's not going to go back on. And the head was sitting on this way, but we want it this way. So we should have plenty of room on the spark plug there for that. So we go to put this all back together now. Where did I put the head gasket? Right here. So drop this back in. It's got a nice little groove here in the cylinder. Kind of. All right, now drop the head on in the correct orientation. That really shouldn't make that much of a difference. I don't know if the decomp hole or the spark plug need to go there. Shouldn't really matter. You got plenty of room. So there's that. Let's grab our 4 washers. Drop these back on to the studs. Oh, it got real warm today, but go figure. Storm's rolling in too. Let's see how gnarly it gets today. The storms up here, since we're up on a hill, get pretty crazy. But, all right, snug these down. Really wish I brought my ratchet up here. Electric at least, but we'll make do. They are stepped studs, which is kind of nice for install. And we'll just run these down by hand for now. Snug these down, and then I gotta take a look outside and see what I gotta bring in case the storm hits. Just coming up the hill on the tractor, and it was pretty dark. Sportster could use a bath. All right. Come on. There we go. Do a crisscross here. 2. All right, head is reinstalled. I'm gonna go kick this over by hand and see what the compression feels like. Make sure we got everything seated proper. Feels pretty good. All right. We'll start buttoning up the rest of that, but I hear the wind picking up out here, so. Sweating my butt off down at the water a second ago in the sun. It's rolling in quick. Hopefully it'll be a quick little burst. Jesse's got some people out here swimming too, so that's unfortunate. Get everything set up just to come back and hide from the storm. It's nice over there. All right, let me clean up some stuff outside here. And we'll see if we can fire that thing up. Head bolted back on. In terms of plugs, this is what came out of it. It's a Harley plug 7-8. We're gonna try a shovelhead plug, long reach. I think it's the same thread, so as long as that works, that's a new Harley shovel plug. A couple ranges hotter. Okay, so new plug is installed. I didn't film any of that because it's putting a spark plug in. Not that exciting. We got that one done, and then all I got left now is pretty much hooking up the carb. And before we do that, I did want to test the gas tank, figure out if this petcock's even working. So I'm gonna set this roughly here like this. You guys see the fuel line over here. It's a goofy petcock. It's got a reserve and an on position, and it's a toggle on each side of it. I'll show you that closer in a second. But we're getting gas flow there, so that's good. I just turned it back off. Should slow down. Same thing on the other one. So petcock is working. Now I know when I turn that on. I'll show you guys this. It's got little toggles here. So on, off, on, off. Reserves the back one, on is the front one, but that is working based on the amount of gas that I just spilled all over the bench. Now I gotta put the carb back on, which again, this is definitely gonna cause some problems. It's missing the whole front corner here and part of that over there. So it's broken 3/4 of the way around. I was hoping I could get it to run. I know it's not gonna run well, but I was hoping to just get it to light off. So I think what I'm gonna do is pull this float bowl one more time, just while it's off, and re-blow through some stuff. I know this gas tank's not the cleanest, and I didn't put a filter in. So, might have just sucked up some crap. Maybe being optimistic there, but either way, we're already off, so it doesn't take that long to pop this back apart and try and clean this carb one more time. I know we time-lapsed this last time, but come on. It's definitely getting few. There's tons of crap in this gas. You can see it kind of dancing on the bottom of the bowl there. All right, let's clean this out again. Maybe I'll hook a fuel filter up too. I did bring one. Did not bring enough hose clamps though. So we'll see. See what we can do here. Here's your starter jet. Instead of a choke, it runs a separate starting circuit. 6 660, 6C, something. But we yank all these jets out. We'll re-clean all of these because we definitely have fuel going in. Is that threaded all the way? Oh man. I'll move on to this other front one. I know we just did a carb clean on this, so I'm not optimistic that that's the issue, but if it's already off and having a rusty tank, doesn't take much to clog them up. This one's free. Come on. Let's see if I got a pick. Come on, you. There we go. Just real crusty. So that did get dirty from me cleaning that the other day. And we'll just pop the float out too. Might as well. The needle. And hopefully I still got some brake clean left. But we'll blow through every one of the passages on here. And then come back when it's all done. We'll blow through these one more time with actual air, and then should be good because I'm running out of brake cleaner. There's that starter circuit. Click the starter on, it opens up this fuel passage here. Then, start with that whole system. Here's the starter jet. Good flow all the way around there. And when you're checking the jets, just hold them up to the light. Make sure you can see through them. This one I can see through, but there's definitely a blockage in there. I don't know if that's gonna show up on camera. You can kind of see the hole, but it's not like a straight shot like it is now. Yep, focus. So I feel a little bit better when I find an actual clog. Oh, it's weird. Compressor just turned off at the same time that the sky decided to finally open up. I knew it was gonna rain, just didn't know when. All right, so that one's good. What else we got? This guy here. This one I can't see pretty much anything out of. I know it's a smaller passage, but still. That definitely could have been the culprit. That's the idle jet too. Oh, yeah. It's pouring now. So it's just a matter of going through all the different systems on a bike that's been sitting for as long as this has. Shouldn't be anything too terribly broken. Cylinder looked okay. It seems like it's got enough compression. And once we put the battery on, we did get it sparking again, so if it's got spark, and compression, and fuel, it should fire. This is the needle jet we're putting in now. We have our needle itself, which appears to be in pretty decent shape, and our float. Clip the needle onto the float, and drop this guy in. And then we got our pin. It's a one-way pin on this. I really should hook up a fuel filter, huh? And if you want to test it, you can blow through this passage. Which is working, so we're good there. Now, all right, starter, pilot, main, and then the jet comes up from the bottom of the bowl. Let's blow this out too. Don't lose your O-ring for the bottom. And we'll put the bowl back on. So in this design, the bowl also has a jet. Helps if you put it on the right way. Not bad. Ooh. One more passage in here. This starting circuit runs off these two right here, so make sure you just give this a blowout too. So the fuel gets picked up from this bottom corner through that starter circuit when it's engaged. So you want that. Go. Snug the bowl up. There we have it, a working carburetor-ish. Make sure the spring stays on here too. When we go to reassemble this part. And the only other thing I wanted to check was the markings on this slide, because it will go in both ways. Should go this way. Okay. Correct. So we'll drop this back on now. Make sure your throttle stuff goes through first, like so. And we'll clip our slide back on. We'll drop our carb back in, top back on. That's the part I need to replace at some point. once all this is all assembled, we're ready pretty much to hook a fuel line back up to it, and hopefully I can get it to start. I'm guessing that if it does actually start, it's just gonna rev up like crazy and then we'll kill it right away, but it is what it is. I don't want to spend a ton of money on parts for this. I guess I can get just the lid for 35 bucks. It's not too bad. Found one on eBay for just this top section. Whole carb is about 200, which really still isn't that bad for a bike that I have $0 into. Like a $40 battery is about it. But I also don't want to spend a bunch of money on this. It's literally just going to be running up and down the hill. So that's fine. Now let me try and see what I got for fuel line stuff. We'll try and hook up a filter in line here. Maybe that'll help keep it cleaner, since there is a ton of rust in that tank. This will fit tight on here. I don't really need a clamp there, so we'll start with that. I don't have my hose cutters up here, unfortunately. Find something to cut these. Razor blade will work. So jam that in there. Ooh, is this fuel filter even any good? If this leaks a little, I'm okay with it. We're just kind of getting started here. It looks like there might be a crack in this filter. But we gotta start somewhere. All right, get this carb tightened back down. Like that. And we'll throw the tank back on. And then should work. I'll pull up this old fuel line. Jam this on here. Let's see how bad it leaks. Guessing probably a lot. Oh, it's not too bad. Let me throw one clamp on, I guess. There's a small split in the end of that fuel line. Right here. So I'll just put one clamp on there. I know this is long, way longer than I need it to be, but for right now, and what we're trying to do, this should be just fine. All right, gas is on again, flowing through. GoPro battery is about to die, so hopefully we can get this lid off pretty quick here. Choke is on, starting circuit rather. And then how the hell am I gonna kick this thing? I don't wanna stand on this bench. These things are a little teeter-tottery. Good enough. And here goes nothing. Jesus, this stupid passenger peg does not want to stay put. Ratchet strap's in my way. Come on. Sorry about that. GoPro battery died. And I've had an idea. So I found a bunch of aluminum tape. Well, I found a boat in the trees when we moved the camper, so I aluminum taped the small crack on the plastic housing. That cheap little pond prowler is what it's called. But it had a small piece of cracked plastic above the bow. So it's above the water level, but we had aluminum tape. So I just taped over the crack on there, which worked just fine. And now I still have that tape here. So what I think I'm gonna try and do is loosen this carb back up and pull it off one more time. GoPro camera just died. I've been kicking this for like a couple more attempts, but it started making a little bit of smoke out the exhaust, and not necessarily a putter and want to start, but it made a little bit more noise than it did the other day. So we are definitely moving in the right direction. But what I'm going to do, because this is a proper Harley fix, grab your aluminum tape, which is extremely sticky. We're going to basically tape up the top of this carburetor. A couple pieces should work. No actual faith in this holding up or actually working, but if I can seal up the leak a little bit better, it might give me a better chance of getting this to light off. And it's sitting right here, so worst case, doesn't work, and I'm right back to where I was. But maybe we'll get lucky. It is a piece that needs to be removed, so you can't really like JB Weld or patch anything on here. Keeps the aliens out of the brain, right? That's how this works. So we'll do one more piece over this little gap. Now, obviously, this is not the proper fix whatsoever, but if I got it sitting here, I might as well try something. I'm just excited that it kind of started making a little bit of smoke come out the exhaust. Everybody needs a tinfoil hat. All right. Just throw this back in. And start kicking. Not a lot of room to wiggle a carb on here. Whew. All right. Carb is back on, starter is engaged, key is on, taillight is on. Here goes nothing. Let's turn the gas back on. Haha. Okay, so it was an air leak problem. Excellent. I know, you guys are like, oh, it didn't even do anything. That ran. It literally was just the air leak up top, which I kind of expected. I was hoping it would start in free rev. 2 strokes when they get air leaks. I mean, pretty much anything. They run like crap, so let me turn this idle back a hair, and then the mixture screw, I don't even know what this is at. Half, 1, half, 1 1/2. So we'll go to half a turn on the idle mix. That's with the enricher on still, or the starting circuit. Let's see what happens if we turn that off. I'm gonna cut this passenger peg off, I think. Okay, so it definitely needs a little bit of throttle. So, I was right, we do have a runner. One of the reasons it was filling up or fouling out the plug so bad, I mean, Jesus, look at the shop. Gotta love two-strokes that haven't been started in years. I got oil pouring out the cylinder exhaust. Let me see what I can do in terms of trying to get this running. I know it's still got a huge air leak up top. That's a given, but we are definitely closer. It's never started before, so let's try that again. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it to idle like this. So maybe I gotta order some parts. So if I leave the enricher circuit or the starting circuit on, it wants to almost idle, but that idle speed screw is all the way in. Headlight comes on a little bit too. Haven't really looked at any of the wiring on this, but might just be a ground or something in there. Oh, I'm happy. Oh, really need a fan in here. Oh, headlight fixed itself. All right, so that's no choke. I don't know exactly how the starting circuit works on this, but let this run and try and clear itself out for a little bit. I gotta get out of here. Oh. Jesus. So, we got a runner. Let me let this run for like 5 minutes and then air out the shop because everything is thick smoke right now. Shop's cleared out a little bit. It's still smoky. I just shut the thing down. Got it to maintain an idle I could even drop the idle speed screw a little bit, but it only runs with the choke on. So I'm guessing there's still a major air leak, and I'm out of brake clean, so I can't really test that anymore. But this bike has literally been sitting on this property for like 20 years. So that's about the first time. Let's turn the gas off. We don't need that thing flooding out. With all the smoke coming out of there, I'm assuming the oil pump is working just fine, because we are only running straight gas on this. It's got a split throttle cable, so the throttle cable comes down. One is to your oil pump, and then the other one goes to your throttle for the carb. So a single to a double output, and then the cable comes down here to the oil pump area right here. And with the amount of smoke that's coming out of here, I would be very, very surprised if that oil pump wasn't working at all. I mean, it could just be burn off residue and things that were in the pipe that are kind of sweating out, but I'm not too concerned about that part. I have a plethora of oil coming out through the exhaust port, and I think that should be about it. Now that I heard it run, I haven't shifted it through the gears or anything yet. I don't want to re-rack everything on the bench. I'm just going to leave this up here for now. But I think I'm going to go home, take a shower, and look on eBay for some OEM Harley parts. I had this little Mikuni guy that I was going to try and make work, but at this point, it is a stock bike. If I throw another carb on, I can tune it, I can get it to work, but I have no baseline. I'm kind of just going through the motions of trying to get it fired up, running, idling, all that other stuff. And I don't have the coupler, so I would have to order parts for that to make that work anyway. As for this, all this needs is a lid. I'm fairly certain if I got an actual lid and the gasket up top, we should be in pretty good shape. I might need to jet it a little bit because I don't have the air box, I don't have an air filter, but I think I got a couple of the little mini ones that came in the other Chinese carb kits that we can throw a little pod filter or something on there. Should richen it up a little bit and then play around with some more aluminum tape, because that's my new favorite thing in the world. Fixing everything like that with bubblegum wrappers today, basically. It looks a little ridiculous, but it did work. I wasn't getting anything on this until I taped off that crack. I knew the crack was going to be a problem. I didn't expect it to be as big of a problem. But I was able to back that idle screw down on the choke circuit, like with running on the starting circuit, so it's probably a little bit richer. It's not going to make as much power. It takes throttle way better when I turn that off. It just won't idle. So I might have to keep cleaning that carb out or kind of drill up those jets a little bit, but I don't really want to do anything else until I get the actual parts to put that carb back together. So that'll wrap this one up. We got it running. Took a couple of videos to get there, but it's a runner. So that's a win in my book. And then the next couple will just be kind of final touches. We'll put the shifter and the ignition cover back on, get all that going, see if it actually shifts through the gears. I should probably check fluid levels and things like that at some point. But for right now, I am a happy man. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys on the next one.